They laughed while I carved the chicken. Jake leaned back in his chair, cocky, loose-limbed, 17 going on spiteful. He thinks he's important just because he pays for everything, he said, nodding at me without looking. But really, he's just Mom's financial phase. Trevor smirked into his glass. Once real Dad comes back, this guy's out. It was a Saturday night. Warm air drifting through the open window. Plates heavy with food I'd paid for. A mortgage balanced on my shoulders. 2 boys who lived under my roof like it owed them something. And a woman, my wife, who said nothing. Didn't flinch. Didn't even blink. I didn't answer. Not then. Not when Sharon stabbed another bite of salad and kept chewing like the words weren't a nail in my chest. Not when Trevor passed the rolls without a glance, as though I were a ghost at my own table. I watched the candle between us flicker, my reflection twisted in the wine glass. I stood, set down the knife, wiped my hands on the dish towel, walked out of the dining room and into the study. No one stopped me. No one asked if I was okay. That told me everything. The folder was where I'd always kept it, top drawer, right side, beneath the tax returns. Manila, neat, quiet like I had been for years. Inside were documents most fathers don't keep, but I did because I wasn't their father. I was the investor, and investors track losses. 8 years of receipts. 8 years of braces and birthday parties, gas cards and groceries, spring break flights, soccer uniforms, math tutors. 8 years of forgotten birthdays for me, missed thank yous, and silence when I entered the room. They remembered what I bought, not who I was. I sat down, opened my laptop, and began sorting. There were the orthodontist invoices, $6, $400 over 2 years. The newer phones, both upgrades from models I never had for myself. Trevor's basketball camp fees, $2, $200 for a summer that ended with him saying, Scott would have paid for better. Scott, their real father. The one who came around twice a year with last-minute gifts and half-promises. But Scott never sat through the night with Trevor when he dislocated his shoulder. That was me. That was always me. The tutoring bills were longest. Jake had failed Algebra 2 twice before I stepped in and hired someone. He never thanked me, just rolled his eyes when I asked how it was going. There were shoes, how many? At least a dozen pairs, each one more expensive than the last. A ski trip to Colorado. Gas bills. Cell plans. Health insurance. I kept going. For hours. Every time I opened a PDF, I remembered the moment attached to it. The time Jake demanded a new backpack because his friends had better ones. The tantrum over a gaming console I bought on sale. Because Mom says Scott would have just paid full price. Sharon had watched every scene play out. Sometimes she defended me with a forced smile. Sometimes she changed the subject. But more often, she let me carry the burden alone, watching like it was a movie she wasn't part of. By midnight, I had 96 pages printed. I sat back and stared at them, fanned across the desk like fallen leaves. No emotion, just ink and debt and memories burned into paper. Then I bound them with a plastic spine and labeled the cover in red ink. Final bill, itemized ledger. Bold, sharp, unmistakable. And underneath, in smaller letters, if I'm just a phase, then this is what a phase costs. I placed it on the printer tray, pulled out the copy and weighed it in my hands. Heavy, like it should be. Then I made 2 more. One for Sharon. One for each boy. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark, lights off, listening to the quiet tick of the thermostat. The sound of a house I paid for. A house I built, inch by inch, never asking to be called Dad. Just hoping to be respected as a man who stayed. But in the end, I was a bank account with shoes. A transaction. A phase. At 6 a.m. I brewed coffee. Poured 3 mugs. 1 black for me. 1 cream, 1 sugar for Sharon. And 1 left empty, like the gratitude I'd been waiting for all these years. I placed the folders neatly beside each mug, and left the kitchen without a word. Sharon didn't say a word that morning. She picked up the folder like it might bite her, sat at the table, flipped through the pages, page after page, item after item, $58.79. Jake's field trip to Santa Fe. $1,940. Trevor's laptop upgrade. $7,300. Cumulative food expenses for 2 growing boys. All on my card. Even the Spotify premium plan. $14.99 a month for 8 years. She read it the way someone reads a stranger's obituary. Slowly, with the weight of realization pressing on her temples. By page 20, she looked up. What is this? I sipped my coffee. Your total. For 8 years of what you called a phase. The folder trembled slightly in her hands. But she didn't deny the numbers. She didn't say I was wrong. She didn't call it unfair. She just sat there, mouth thin, eyes darting from line item to line item. Her silence was a confession louder than any apology. Why now? She whispered. The question was small, like she already knew the answer but didn't want to say it out loud. You heard them, I said. I was a guest in my own home, and you handed them the mic. That was all. She followed me to the door, asking again and again, how could you do this to the boys? But never once did she say, you were more than a wallet. Never once, I'm sorry. And like always, she chose silence when it mattered most. That afternoon, I made the calls. Cell carrier. I need to remove 2 lines. Effective immediately. Auto insurance. Take both their names off the policy. Streaming services. Cancel the family plan. Gas card. Close it. Entire account. They wanted to know why. I didn't explain. I just said, we're done. Trevor noticed first. His PlayStation kicked him out mid-game. Wi-Fi's down, he yelled from the living room. Jake checked his phone. My data's gone. What the hell? They came to Sharon. She came to me, but I was already out back, repairing the fence alone. The one they kicked the soccer ball into 3 summers in a row without ever helping me fix it. She called out, did you change the internet password? I didn't answer. Later that evening, the boys burst into the study. You canceled everything? Jake barked. My phone? My tuition? What is wrong with you? Trevor looked pale. I can't log into my school portal. I kept typing on my laptop. That's between you and your real dad. Jake's face contorted like I'd slapped him. You serious? You can't just abandon us like this. I turned to him, calm, quiet. I wanted him to feel every syllable. You made it clear I was just a phase, paycheck, placeholder. So now you can figure out the costs of that worldview. He didn't blink. You're bitter. No, I said. I'm done. Trevor stepped forward. You're punishing us for something we said in a joke? It wasn't a joke, I said. It was a truth you thought I wouldn't act on. And then I pulled the final lever. Scott. I hadn't spoken to him in years. Not since he texted Sharon 3 years ago saying, sorry I can't do Christmas. Maybe next year. The boys still clung to him like he was some noble vagabond. A wandering legend who'd one day return to save them from the man who actually showed up. I dialed his number. He answered on the 3rd ring. Ryan? He said, cautious. You're up, I said. They're yours now. A pause. What's that mean? I told him. Tuition. Phones. Gas. Groceries. The works. He chuckled nervously. You serious? You're just what? Walking away? No, I said. I walked in for 8 years. I'm just closing the tab. Click. The fallout came fast. 3 days later, Jake's admission portal locked him out. No payment, no schedule. He was waitlisted, then removed. Trevor's club sports team benched him. Non-payment on fees and equipment. Sharon sold her car. Then, a month later, the house. Too many bills, not enough backing. She called me again. Once. Crying. They need you. We need you. I said nothing. You proved your point, she whispered. I didn't set out to prove anything, I told her. I just finally listened to what I was being told. She sobbed quietly. Don't do this. You already did, I said, and I hung up. The first week after I cut them off was quiet. Unnaturally so. No texts. No calls. Just the distant hum of a life unraveling one thread at a time. Then came the voicemails. Jake's first. Hey, I got a notice from the school. They said payments past due. I thought there was some mistake, but just let me know what's going on. Okay? He didn't sound angry. Not yet. Just confused. Like a man trying to wake up from a dream where all the lights went out. 2 days later, Trevor left one. My account got closed. Couldn't get gas. Mom said you canceled everything. Is that true? Can you just call me? No apology. No ownership. Just inconvenience wrapped in entitlement. Sharon didn't speak to me directly for almost 3 weeks. Then I got the email. Subject line, please. She didn't write paragraphs. Just one line. They're just kids, Ryan. This isn't fair. I replied with the same brevity. Neither was carrying 3 people who spat in my face. She didn't answer. I kept working. Telecom contracts didn't stop for heartbreak. The invoices didn't care that I'd been discarded. But something in me had shifted, harder, yes, but cleaner. I stopped eating dinner with the TV on. Started sleeping better. When you finally stop being used, you start to understand how long you've been exhausted. Then came the knock on the door. I opened it. Sharon stood there. No makeup. Shoulders hunched. A folder in her hand. Worn at the edges. Like she'd been gripping it for days. It was the bill I gave her. She held it out, didn't speak. I didn't take it. Keep it, I said. You earned every line. She stepped inside without asking. I didn't stop her. I didn't offer her a seat. They're falling apart, she said. Her voice was raw, like she hadn't spoken honestly in years. Jake's barely eating. He's talking about deferring school. Trevor dropped out of basketball. Said he doesn't see the point. I said nothing. I didn't think you'd really do it, she continued. I thought that I was bluffing? Finished. She nodded, barely. I walked to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of water, placed one in front of her. She didn't touch it. You remember the night they called me a phase? I asked. Her mouth opened, closed. You remember what you said? I didn't say anything, she whispered. Exactly, I said. She lowered her eyes. They were wrong, she said. They were cruel. But they're just boys. You're the adult. I stared at her. Let the silence drag. I was the adult when I paid their way, I said. I was the adult when I sat through every parent-teacher conference alone. When I took Trevor to the ER. When I stayed up until 2 helping Jake study for midterms while his real father was in Vegas. She blinked fast. I was the adult, I repeated. But that doesn't mean I was the fool. She reached across the table, hand trembling. They miss you. No, I said. They miss the version of me that didn't charge interest. Tears welled in her eyes. Real ones. But it was too late. You should talk to them, she said. I did, I replied. For 8 years. I stood, walked to the door, and opened it. She didn't move. Ryan, she said. I waited. You don't forgive them? I forgive them, I said. But I don't sponsor them. She stepped outside. The air was heavy, thunder far off. She looked back once, then walked down the driveway like a woman who finally understood the cost of her silence. That night, I opened a new folder. Inside it, I placed a single sheet of paper. Blank. I wrote across the top, no further credit will be extended. And underneath, in smaller letters, this account is closed. They came in fragments. Jake first, through a letter, surprisingly. Handwritten. The same kid who once mocked my emails as boomer messages, sent 4 full pages of apologies. I didn't understand what you were doing. I thought Scott would show up. He never did. I get it now. Trevor emailed. Less emotional, more transactional. I'm not asking you to pay again. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I was an asshole. I didn't see it until everything fell apart. I printed both messages. Slid them into the same folder that once held receipts. I didn't write back. Then Sharon called. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity, stupid, exhausted curiosity, got the better of me. Ryan, she said. Her voice was soft. Not manipulative, not teary. Just tired. "What do you want?" I asked. "I want to say I was wrong. I didn't speak. I let them disrespect you. I let myself depend on you while pretending not to. I knew they were cruel. I saw what they did. And I still said nothing." I let the silence stretch. She didn't interrupt it. "You didn't leave because of one dinner," she said finally. "You left because I didn't defend you." Now she got it. "They still talk about you," she added. "Even now. They ask if you're okay. If you'll ever come back." "No," I said. She exhaled. "I figured." I heard her shift the phone. Wind in the background. Maybe she was walking. Maybe she just needed to say these things aloud in a space that wasn't her sister's couch. "I just wanted you to know," she said. "They learned something. We all did." I didn't say goodbye. I just ended the call. That night, I sat in the quiet house and let myself feel it. Not vindication, not triumph, just peace. The kind that comes when the noise finally stops. I still live alone. It's quieter now. I spend weekends fixing up old tech, restoring radios from the 60s, turning silence into signal. No demands, no raised voices, just function. Sometimes I think about what I gave, what it cost, what it broke inside me. And I remember Trevor's voice, sharp with teenage certainty. "You're just mom's financial phase." He was right. That phase is over. And like all closed accounts, there's no credit line, no grace period, no more chances. So I ask you, if you were told after 8 years of sacrifice that you meant nothing, would you keep paying? Would you still show up? Would you let love be drained until there was nothing left? Because I stopped. And I don't regret it. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some bills don't come with payment plans. And some names, Dad, aren't owed. They're earned. I was nobody to them. So now they can pay the price of that belief.